Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Today was a gorgeous start to the week. Yeah, I know the kids went back to school for San Diego Unified School District, but we were also talking about the fact that the weather was pretty nice to start off, so setting them back off in style. You had the 70s right there along the coast for daytime highs. You also had 73 degrees for downtown. Now, we did have a few of those 80s popping up across the inland valleys. We were at 83 degrees today for El Cajon, 84 for Fallbrook. We still had some low 90s in the forecast west of the mountains, and well, that's actually typical for this time of the year, as we are talking about the average high being 91. So 91, right on the money. That was for Escondido today, about 1 degree above that, and that was for Ramona at 92. We were still holding on to those widespread 90s. That was across the mountains, and that allowed for a continuation with the heat advisory, but it's going to expire for tonight, and still holding on to the heat alert, and that's going to be in effect until tomorrow for the desert. So the 1-teens yet again, putting the desert high about 6 degrees above seasonal for this time of the year, just by 1 degree, and that was for Ramona as mentioned, and then also talking about being a little below seasonal for downtown at 73. Now for tonight, we'll have the cloud cover rolling right back in with that rather shallow marine layer. So still talking about the low clouds as well as the fog favoring the coast and also for metro cities. Now that does look to deepen as we go throughout the week. So rather shallow, at least tonight through tomorrow morning. Then we get into the rest of the week where onshore flow actually picks up. And so that pushes in our marine layer more, and that also allows for some relief from this heat. It starts by the middle of the week, takes us into the second half of this week, and also sticking around for this weekend as temperatures go below seasonal for this time of the year. The widest gap looks to be across the inland valleys by 10 degrees below seasonal for mid-August. Also talking about elevated surf and rip current risk that are going to stick around our coastline all the way through Friday, as we do have a southwest groundswell that it's building in. So we still have the heat alert for the mountains, but it will expire at 8 p.m. for tonight. And then you have the extreme heat warning, and that's going until 8 p.m. for Tuesday night. Still another day of 1-teens for the desert before those temperatures go in the opposite direction. You have the 60s for your overnight lows, still pretty consistent. We do have a couple of outliers. Ramona at 57 degrees, also looking at 84 degrees for Borrego Springs. Your highs for tomorrow right there in the 70s along the North County coastline and 72 degrees for downtown. We also still have some 80s across the inland valleys, but we're also starting to see more of those 80s popping up. We had a high today of 91 degrees for Escondido, 85 degrees by tomorrow. 90s that have been plaguing Valley Center go right back into those upper 80s, so 89 degrees tomorrow, still holding on to those 90s for Campo as well as for Ramona, and then still seeing 1-teens across the desert, locked into the heat for at least the extreme heat for one more day. The setup in the atmosphere, area of high pressure that is over the west, it starts to get chipped away at, and that's because of this area of low pressure that moves in across the Pacific Northwest. So as a result, it breaks apart that ridge, and it allows for onshore flow to pick up, so that will be cooling our temperatures into the second half of the work week, allowing temperatures to slip below seasonal. Now, it's not going to be a big difference closer towards the coast, as you still have those 70s. You're going to be the low 70s, but hey, you're even seeing some low 70s by tomorrow. So the biggest difference is going to be inland, and it's going to be felt county-wide. Temperatures also do look to go below seasonal for the mountains as well as for the desert. Now let's go back and talk about the coast, because we still have elevated surf. You have, as mentioned, the southwest groundswell that's building in, so that's elevating our surf to about 3 to 5 feet and sets up to 6 feet. That's also leading to a high risk of rip currents at our local beaches. If you're not a skilled swimmer, you're not advised to be in the water during this time frame, which extends all the way to Friday. So we're looking at a continuation with this elevated surf that's going to be sticking around. So as mentioned, please use caution. If you're not a skilled swimmer, you're not advised to be in the water. If you are going to be out there, it's always best to swim near lifeguards. You have the 70s for daytime highs for the coast all the way into the start of next week. You have those 80s across the inland valleys, more widespread with the low 80s starting on Friday, and that takes us into a very beautiful weekend, as we are going to see a few more passing clouds, starting off with the morning cloud cover, afternoon sunshine, and then also temperatures that are going to be into the 80s all the way into the start of next week. You have the 80s for the mountains, one more weather impact alert day for the desert because of the 1-teens, and those temperatures go right back down to 102 and 103 this weekend for the desert. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.